automatically, I suppose.
All right.
Yeah, much nice. I don't know how it does the camera differently, but it's a much nicer camera view than Hangouts.
It seems to be, and I don't know. Maybe it's just Google doesn't devote as much bandwidth or throughput. I have no idea
Yeah, maybe.
on how any of this whole video
I don't know.
stuff works. I mean, it's all free stuff, so I'm just completely baffled that it's as high quality as it is.
All for free. Who's working on this? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, presumably someone's getting paid a lot of money to develop free software, and
I wonder where the.
I mean, there's not even any ads here. It's like I would expect a pop-up ad every 10 seconds.
Right. I'm just going to turn my phone off here because, of course, it will ring now. Okay. Yeah. So, I don't know if we have anything. I have a lot of family coming next week.
Yeah, sorry to hear about your mom.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's all right. So it's probably slightly a blessing. It's good. If things were, I guess, if things were on their way downhill, which they were, right? So things were on their way downhill. It's better to cut it off before we get to the very bottom of the hill.
Yes, yeah, you would rather if it's going to be a long, drawn out process. I agree with that.
Right, and we didn't really talk about it much before anyway, but no, it was becoming worse and worse for her. She was having pain and she was uncomfortable and stuff like that. So. Like I said, so probably a somewhat of a blessing, but yeah. So I went to England 2 weeks ago. That's why we missed 2 weeks ago. So I went to England, and then we had a service for her there. And now next week, so this Saturday, Victoria and Daniel are both coming in and staying here for a week, and we'll have another service kind of in Canton.
Yeah, because the rest of your family is in like California, right?
So my brother's in Long Beach, but then my sister and my mom were in England.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so like I said, that'll be nice to have everyone kind of come. And my nephew, who is my brother's son, who is like 2 or about to turn 2.5, I think. So he's pretty young. And then my niece, my sister's daughter, is I think she's like 14 months. So she's definitely still a little baby. The 2-year-old is
right.
able to communicate and stuff like that, but the baby doesn't communicate other than screaming. But
right, which is effective,
Yeah. So no, we've been buying plenty of kids' toys. We have nothing, right? And we don't have any type of there's no toys here. You know what I mean?
No.
So yeah, there's nothing, and my kids don't have any toys. They have some bikes and stuff like that, but there's no.
Kilo's going to be very disappointed that when he's going to get these baby toys.
Right. We bought these tunnels. We have they're pretty cheap actually. They're like maybe 3 foot diameter by like 8 foot soft tunnels. You know what I mean? So we have all these tunnels, and we bought these balls. The soft balls for the ball pit.
You're gonna open up a daycare after all this is over.
I don't know what we're gonna do with all this stuff. Yeah, but I think and most of it's pretty. You've been buying it too. It's not all that expensive. Right? Well, it hasn't been. I think we spent like $80 on Amazon, and it's just stuff's pouring in. It seems so.
Yeah, our the boy, he's not quite 6 months old yet, so he doesn't really take a lot of toys. But yeah, mainly everything's like, certainly less than $20 and generally less than 10.
Mm-hmm.
So you're spending a couple of dollars here or there, and so yeah, really not that bad, which is remarkable.
At that age,
volume
does he like Matchbox cars? Does he play with cars? Does he care?
Oh no, not yet. You can't roll over yet. You have put him on a padded quilt, and head that kind of spins around.
I truly have no concept. And I think a lot of the reason I don't have any concept is because things happen so quickly at that age. So for the difference between
Oh yeah.
6 months and 12 months is massive, and then 12 months and 18 months is
Yeah, it is another big leap. Well, that's the thing. It's like, well, even as clothes, and I never really knew this, but like children's clothes are grouped according to months.
yeah,
So like you have like the newborn clothes, and then you have 3 month, or 3 month, and then 3 month to 6 month, and 6 month to 9 month. Well, he's uh, not quite 6 months old, and he's wearing 12-month-old clothes. So I'm
yeah,
thinking initially there's something wrong
yeah.
with whatever they're saying. It's completely off.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just doesn't stay in clothes.
Mm.
Or if because we find that you get a lot of clothes from different baby showers or whatnot, and before you can wear hardly any of those, he's grown out.
So
We,
he's
we
so
have clothes
clothes
he's never worn.
clothes are only good for like a 3 month
If that.
block. Oh,
Yeah, it's like every month or two he's into something different, and
yeah. Oh, so really, like if you were to get you know, something that fit that was warm weather or that in the wrong time of year, it's completely wasted, or vice
oh,
versa.
absolutely.
It's cold.
It's a that's something that Jess and I are always. She's always wanted to buy him clothes. I'm like, you have no idea if
Yeah,
in the springtime.
yeah.
So I mean, if you want to buy him something that's. Yeah, what you buy him the other day? She bought him we were at Costco, and she bought him a Spider-Man and a Captain America hoodie.
Mhm.
It has the fake muscles and everything in it,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and they're the toddler ones. And toddler sizing is something else that just completely baffles me. It's like 3T and 4T.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. T stands for toddler. All right,
Okay. Okay.
the three, the number is apparently arbitrary.
That's what I'm gonna say. Just completely arbitrary. They just don't mean, it doesn't mean anything other than 4 is bigger than 3, which is bigger than 2. That's the
Right.
only. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like maybe he fits into it, or maybe when he's able to fit into one of those, it's like the dead of summer when it's like 80 degrees, and there's no way that he's going to want to wear a
Right.
hoodie.
Right.
So yeah, so
That's,
that's what you have to deal with, and it's like she's always wanting, she's like she sees these little baby shoes, and so you can ask Stacy this, but women see baby shoes and like, oh, they're so cute. We need to buy these for him. Why? First, have you ever tried to put shoes on a baby?
yeah. Yeah, and they're not putting their feet on the ground very often.
No. So at the end of the day, if you're not walking, you probably don't need shoes.
Right. Right. No,
So
I know that because when we were in England, we went shopping. Stacy and I went into town and and kind of bought some clothes for the baby, and yeah, so we went through. I got a little education there about the sizing and how long stuff lasts, and
yeah,
yeah, so.
which is not long, but
So really, I mean, it comes down to you have to buy just the cheapest stuff you can, because there's no point buying a polo, a $30 polo hoodie or a $30 polo T-shirt, because it's you even if the $3 one is lesser quality,
right.
the $3 one doesn't make a difference.
But one, it's funny that you mentioned that. One of Jess's coworkers got for Grayson at some point in time, got him a Ralph Lauren polo
Hmm.
onesie or pajama thing, and I don't even know if he wore it once, because it was either too small right away or right at the cusp of being too small. And, you figure, yeah, you probably spent $20 or $30 just on the brand,
Mm-hmm.
when the whatever normal thing is that you can get at the grocery store, literally.
Well, and the funny thing
The
is,
Fred Meyer or Meyer.
yeah, you can't even say, well, okay, we'll keep this aside for real nice stuff.
No,
We'll have a one nice, because it doesn't fit in it 3
right.
months later. So what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. Put him in it as soon as you can. Take a
Yeah.
picture before he grows out of it or spits up on it, which means the exact same moment.
Which by yeah. Well, I have a pair of pretty nice Prada shoes. They're expensive dress shoes, but it's okay that they're expensive because I've had them for like 7 years, and
Right,
they're still as good as new. They're brand new. I mean, they get
right.
worn twice a year, maybe. But like I said, with babies, you can't say, "All right, let's splurge on this $100 onesie."
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense
Right.
whatsoever. Because there's you're yeah, when you or I splurge on clothes or computers or whatever, we anticipate that, oh, all right, well, we may as well not get something cheap because we want it to last for
Mm-hmm.
a year or
Right.
whatever. But long term baby stuff, you're
Right.
talking what, 3 months tops,
Yeah.
or 2 months
If that's the
before they
bracket.
grow out of it. I mean, so I mean the margin of quality is, if it's super high end, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because the super low end stuff, it doesn't have to get you very far.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, the Chinese have figured this out.
Yeah, they have, and not only that, but the people doing the sizing have said these come in 3 month blocks, so this won't last you any longer. Even
Right,
if, so, if you're lucky enough to get it at the very bottom, you will grow out of it in 3 months is the maximum you can hope for.
right, yeah. So every 3 months, you're getting a brand new wardrobe,
Hmm.
and so we've been kind of buying like that. It's like, okay, well, he's grown out of his 3 month stuff, but we've already stocked up on his 6 month stuff. So now
Right.
let's go ahead and stock up on his 9 month stuff. And
Okay. So,
so you're buying like one or two ahead, and you make sure that you have like, figure out that you only need 7 or 10 long sleeve shirts or whatever it is, and then you buy those, but yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon.
I am all I'm doing here. I'm taking show notes real quick because I think that this would be good. So, um, can you hear me? Is that typing super loud?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you should expect that from this type
Oh, okay. So
of thing. So yeah, we'll wait till I try to type something.
I just yeah.
I,
So
I have this mechanical keyboard.
oh yeah, I do not. I have a pretty quiet keyboard.
Well, we'll listen to this clackety clack. I'm going to try to log into VPN because I think VPN is down for work.
Oh, oh, oh. That's yeah. That's a good one. Interesting. And I guess we could get technical for a few minutes and talk about VPN. Uh, so it is interesting to me to see the way that VPN is implemented differently across um, different companies that I work for or have worked for. So, well, I'll
The
give you.
good,
So,
I'm going to interrupt you real quick because
yeah.
I was having trouble with VPN earlier, and the good news is it just worked, so I am not fired.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what actually. So the funny thing was that on Friday, my Microsoft login credentials were. It said this account has been disabled on Friday. And so I'm like, shoot. So I sent an email through my Gmail, um, to the people who needed to know, and I didn't get a reply back until like Saturday night. So it was almost 24 hours. So people had kind of gone home and been done. And they said no. They said when we open a position, we have to put an end date and whatever. What was Friday the 16th? Yeah. So whatever. So Friday the 16th was the end date of mine, and they just hadn't extended it. So that was that. But I said, presumably this is not the way that you're supposed to let people know they've been fired. But,
Oh, by the way.
yeah. Oh, but anyway, what I was saying is interesting. Some companies they make once VPN is running, they route all of your traffic through their VPN, but other places only route what you need to route through there, so you can still like Facebook, for example, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, if you're a contract remote employee, I should be able to look at Facebook if I want to. I'd be able to do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like, um,
Right.
as long as it's not illegal, I suppose that's fine. But I don't have any problem with them restricting me from doing illegal things. But I mean, come on, So if your VPN is stopping Facebook, it's like you'd really. I could turn around and like fire up the TV. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, and at the end of the day, I would assume that, and this is, not quite the illegal thing, but the moral thing, say you click a link and you get spam with porn. All of that gets blocked by VPN. Your remote, does that really matter? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I guess just that. Yeah, I mean, I guess some of that stuff is nice, right? So you can block if they're blocking certain
Right.
things, whatever. But I mean, certainly. Um, so at WebMD, they have blocked YouTube, and it wasn't necessarily for productivity
Hmm.
because of bandwidth problems.
Sure.
So that's fine in the office if they have bandwidth problems. But when I would VPN in, it would block YouTube from that computer entirely. And it's like, you're forcing me to use your bandwidth. Don't take all of it.
Right.
I'm not IT enough to know the difference, but I know there's a difference in VPNs that say route all traffic and only route necessary traffic.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably laziness on whomever is implementing VPN. And at Ramsey Solutions, I'm wondering, uh, I get they don't really block much, but I also try not to rock the boat too much.
Yeah.
I still get Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. But I've not really went out there and tried to see exactly what they are blocking.
Well, but if you go to Google Maps and say use my current location, does it use your house or does it use
No, it's Tennessee.
Okay, so they're routing
Yeah.
all of your traffic through their servers. And like I said, I don't care if they do it. I'm not
Yeah.
actually doing anything wrong.
No.
But I'm saying like that's your all of your they have to pay for that bandwidth at
Yeah.
some point, and you don't need Google Maps to route through.
But, it does actually bring up an interesting scenario, though. So, for instance, you VPN into whatever it is, because I'm West Coast, and if I VPN to their, I just logged in, so now my location is coming through as like Brentwood, Tennessee, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Now, if I open up a Tor browser,
I have no idea how that works.
which is already kind of scrambling, bouncing off everything else. I wonder if that's just one more layer of
It might be, and
obfuscation.
it might be. It probably is because I know that I get life hacker articles keep every now and then say, "Here's why you should be using a VPN," for your normal browsing. So maybe it is. Maybe it is a good thing.
I don't know, and I guess I've never really have cared much.
Well, so at Microsoft, like once I connect with VPN, the only things that get routed through their servers is like I don't know the addresses, but like TFS dot server
Sure.
dot what so the things that need to be in like the SharePoint is on their server. So then if I could disconnect VPN, those links don't work. But
Right.
like I said, Google Maps and all that stuff is still exactly the same. Everything is still on my network and everything else. But so anyway, yeah, I don't know. And I agree with you. It probably is just a laziness thing. And you know what? I don't anymore. But at WebMD, the pain was for YouTube was that I used to use YouTube for music, and I would just
Right. Yeah.
but it wouldn't work. They had it blocked.
And that is annoying. And because at the end of the day, if you're a remote contractor, you should be able to work whatever makes you most productive.
Right.
So I shouldn't be required to stop listening to music or not being able to stream X, Y, and Z, or uh, do any weird random searches that I want to search in my free time or whatnot
On your machine. I mean, that is your
on my,
computer.
yeah, it would be different, right? If they provided you
Mm-hmm.
with a machine, that's
Yep.
fine.
Yep.
Your machine, yeah, you don't want to, get any weird viruses on it or anything. But you know, if it's my machine, if I don't have antivirus installed or taking proper precautions or whatnot, yeah, it's going to happen whether I'm using a VPN or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, that's an uh, interesting conundrum. I understand where they're coming from, in terms of trying to be secure and stuff. But one of the other thing is, trying to run specs or tests over VPN is just horribly slow.
Oh, is it?
We try to we have been kind of gotten laxed. So we've probably doubled our team size in the past month or so, but writing spec coverage that you don't have to be connected to VPN. So any like internal services where we end up locking out,
Oh, yeah.
so that we don't have to connect to VPN hardly at all. So only when we need to run anything locally do we really need to connect to VPN, or
Oh, that's good.
running on like the testing on like test or the staging servers and stuff need to be connected to VPN.
Well, and that actually, so that brings up another point is that, so not only are they paying for the bandwidth, but they're slow because everything everyone does is coming through their pipes. Whereas if it was only when you were when you were running one of those actual tests, but all of your other traffic was going through your internet connection or staying out of their VPN, everything
Yep.
would be faster. So,
Yeah, I will only connect to VPN when I absolutely need to, because otherwise,
mhm.
it just kind of slows down my machine. I go to do a map search, and it's mapping me from Tennessee, which is annoying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, your current
Yeah.
location is town. Why does it think that I'm in Tennessee?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I know what you mean. So I have so it has been like 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks since we spoke, but I was talking to Stacy. I have like this interesting thing happening where I'm losing. I feel like I'm losing interest in. Well, maybe not losing interest. I read some articles and read some blogs and a little bit of Stack Overflow,
Mhm.
and I feel like the kids, I call them kids because it was us, whatever, 8 years ago.
Right.
Um, the folks that are on there are like, they're like, oh, here's a really cool way to solve this, and let's see if we can. This isn't even a problem, but I'm going to solve it now. Actually, I could do it in 10 lines less of code than you. The problem is, I don't give a shit. I
No, well,
I don't
first of all,
care.
you and I were never like that.
Well, no, but I do remember a time that we were like, oh yeah, this is let's figure out a way to make this better, and let's learn this thing because it's cool, and let's spend all this time. I don't care. I have no interest. I've lost interest, and I don't know I'm not sure what to do about it.
Well, and I think that's I'm actually the same way, and I'm definitely guilty of it. I like coding best practices or whatnot, but at the end of the day, I want my code to be clean and maintainable, but I also want it to be shipped and have it work.
Yeah,
So if we're balancing those two, and it's comes down between uh, get something out there so that other people can use it,
yeah.
or this whole, the code's perfect. Well, that might be, but you haven't shipped it in 3 years, so
Yeah.
what does it matter?
Right. Right. Yeah. And like I said, maybe it is. Maybe it's actually a good thing to start to feel that way and to say, you know what? I'm sorry that we're hard coding this, and this is I'm hard coding this max value. You know what I mean? And we're not going to set up a way to read this JSON file. The JSON file is going to be auto generated by this and that. I don't give a shit. It's hard coded to 100. It stores 100 things, and that's it. Ship it. Be done with it.
Well, and at the end of the day, that gets something out there that you can prove if it's even worthwhile to have, if
Yeah.
it's a worthwhile feature or whatnot. And I've done both of them, gone both ways. But my personality is one of where I like to tinker, and so I end up uh, coding more or solving more dumb problems, because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, no one gives a shit. No one's
Right.
viewing source,
Right. Right.
or they're certainly not looking at your server code,
Right.
because who has access to that? Well, you, because
Exactly.
you're the only developer on it, because no one else wants to work with you.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? When you need to have more than, like I said, 100 widgets, write a bug and tell me how many it needs to be, and I will change that number from 100 to 200 or whatever you think it should be. And like I said, to go through this whole thing of a config file that's auto-generated through JSON, through a GUI interface where people can, I don't care. I'm over it.
No, I mean, because we can over engineer, and you and I have done this time and time and time and time again.
Hmm.
We're
Yeah.
just wanting to do. Hey, this is a great idea. How can we do this? And we come up with a thousand different ways of doing it, and we don't pick any of those.
Right. Yeah, nothing gets deployed. Well, and so here's another kind of phenomenon that I was thinking of is maybe part of the losing interest is that, and maybe this is just because we're becoming more mature, but everything seems so easy now. I remember back when we were kind of getting started that everything was just a huge chore. It was a massive nightmare. I mean, think about how hard it was to find Rails hosting, right? I mean,
Oh
just
yeah.
somewhere that would run Ruby code, it didn't exist. But now, I mean, you can do something that will run Node and .NET and Java all on the same thing, and they can talk,
Hmm.
you know, and it's simple. And I've been working with the Azure cloud, and I can git commit, and that's it. I can git commit to my production branch, and Azure watches my Git repository and will automatically deploy, restart the server, etc. I do. It's all
And and Azure does everything, right? Like it is programming language agnostic. Like you can
right.
deploy Ruby and or Python or whatever
Yeah.
to Azure and have it do the same thing.
Correct. Yeah,
That's
including
actually pretty.
obviously .NET, which is the hard one, in my opinion. So
Yeah, right. Well, and then I'll have to actually maybe take a look at Azure, because if it's simpler to use than Amazon, which I think Amazon just has way too much documentation.
yeah,
You know, I want Amazon to be easy, but it's not. And
yeah,
I use DigitalOcean, and I learned Ansible, and see, this is exactly what you
that's right.
should.
Exactly.
You
Yep.
know, because when your answer to a problem is, well, if I learn this,
Yeah. Right.
no, it's not the
Right.
right answer. You've already tripped and have fallen down the wrong path.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, and with the Azure stuff, it's got what's it like Git hooks or whatever they're called, right? So it's already doing it. And like I said, all I have to do is just git commit to the production
Yeah,
branch,
and
the branch I want,
done and done.
and
Yeah,
does
because
all it.
someone has already fallen down that path
Yeah.
of being able to provision, and you don't have to learn that provisioning software now and create your own Git hooks and such.
Right.
Ansible has a product called a Tower that does something similar. And then you can pick your cloud hosting.
Okay.
Whether it's a DigitalOcean or um, AWS or whatever. But same type of thing. You have uh, an admin panel that you go in and say, hey, I want these nodes or droplets or whatever company is calling their virtual server.
Right. Yeah.
Can we come up with more cutesy names for stupid shit?
Hmm. Right.
And then you deploy your cluster. I'm sure some other company calls it something other than a cluster.
So yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
and and then you have that Git hook set up where when you push and it passes XYZ tests or whatever, then it'll go ahead and deploy out your new code. So it's
Mm-hmm.
continuously rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, we're in what how many years of software development, that how has this not been automated before? That we
Right.
don't have, 8 different companies that are really, really good at this. And you say, okay, well, I want a Ruby on Rails application with a Postgres database, and I want it to be resilient, but I want to grow with that. So let's start
Mm-hmm.
off with just 2 things, and whatever, and kind of grow with that. And as soon as I get 100 users, let's automatically scale it just a little bit.
That's where you, yeah, exactly, the auto scale of, maybe it lets you know, maybe it says, hey, you've been hitting 100% for the last 6 hours.
Yeah,
Would you like, or I mean, shoot, all these places give you like a 30-day free trial. They can
yeah,
say you were hitting 100% for the last 30 minutes. We've automatically upgraded you for free for the
right.
next 30 days. Let us know if you don't want to upgrade your droplet cluster, whatever.
And at the end of the day, I don't know what I need. That's the thing. It's like,
Yeah,
if you're good at writing software, you probably don't want to become good at managing software or managing servers.
yeah.
That's someone else's job, and there's no reason that there isn't something out there that's machine learning that
Hmm.
can learn what you need.
Right.
The parameter, here's the industry parameters that if you hit 75% of your CPU, well, you either need to go out or up.
Yeah,
You either need a bigger server or you need more smaller servers.
yeah.
And you know what? For me, make that decision for me.
Hmm. Yes, please.
Please.
Right. Well, and there's I think all these places have calculators, where you can estimate. Actually, in the Azure one is even worse than that, because it doesn't say how many users do you think. It says how much total bandwidth do you think. I have absolutely no clue.
I have no idea. You
So
lost me to bandwidth.
how large is how large is how large is one of my CSS files going to be? And if I have to serve it to 10 people, I don't know what it is. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Don't make me figure that out.
Right.
And what made me officially drop Amazon and move away from them, and not even try to learn their system, is I was trying, and I was watching some of their videos. They have a YouTube channel or whatnot, or maybe they were hosting their own videos. Or whatnot. But I was watching a presentation, and it was how to scale to 10,000 or 100 million users or something like that on Amazon. And it was a fantastic talk. They went through. It's just you as a developer. You have a single box. Everything's on it. You get a few users. We're going to expand out to here, and it talks about how to scale out and this, that, and the other. And then they just leave it. Well, if you use Elastic Cloud or whatever, it'll auto scale for you. But they never tell you how to set it up.
Oh,
So thanks for nothing.
yeah.
You kind of told me this is exactly what I want. I was all excited,
Right.
and then you just leave me hanging.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You couldn't have made this a little bit simpler to just jump into that?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep. Yep. Well, it's the same thing when you look up something stupid, in Microsoft Word. How do I do this in Microsoft Word? And it says, well, use this tool key. Use the XYZ tool key. I don't know which one that is. That's what I'm here for.
Right.
I'm here for you to show me what that is. Can you hear that bell when it rings? Did you hear it a second ago?
No.
Oh, okay. It's loud in my headphones, but
No, I must have missed it.
I'm thankfully not sending. I don't think I'm sending that back to you. That's
All right.
the audio.
But yeah, that's exactly it, and that's exactly that's another good reason of why I stopped trying to teach myself chef.
Yeah, or
Uh,
anything. I'm done teaching myself anything.
I have no problem learning new tools and stuff, but you know what? If you're going to be an asshole and name your product chef or something that is just impossible to do a Google search for,
Yeah.
look, I've got a couple choice words for you, and you're not going to like any of them.
Right. Well, I'm sure that the reason it's called chef is because there's a whole, a whole suite of cooking based tools that go along with it.
Oh yeah, but they started that. You know, they're the morons that said, hey, you know what would be great?
They didn't consider.
No, and so they, and then yeah, because they named their product chef, everything
Right.
has to be cutesy and related. So you have to have
Right.
cookbooks and recipes,
Oh.
and the open source stuff. Like you have a different tool called Knife.
Why don't? Yeah, they didn't consider the SEO of these things.
No, so when you type chef cookbook Ruby, what are you going to get?
Yeah, right. Of course, yeah. That's although um, if they made up their own words, we bash them for that as well. So
Yeah, well, yeah, but at least then we could Google it. We can make up we could at least bash the silliness of uh, ogle or
well, droplet. So if you Google expand my droplet, that would probably come back with DigitalOcean stuff, right?
yeah, I hope so, or some sort of porn. I'm sure, but
Yeah.
that's like Rule 35.
Yeah. Right. Right.
But yeah, so I mean, so I have less of a problem saying droplet than than other things, but like Ansible, Ansible is pretty sensible. If you type in Ansible and you search Ansible, you're going to come up with exactly what that is.
Mhm.
There's still, it's probably one of the lesser used I'd say probably Puppet and Chef are the two bigger ones, but Puppet, at least you can say Puppet. No one's doing marionettes anymore.
Yeah.
So you're 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 probably not fighting that crowd.
Although there's Derek Bailey and his Backbone JS Marionette JS.
Ah, yes. And there again. Yeah, so I guess Puppet is still better than marionette because I wouldn't know how to spell marionette.
No, Marionette's hard to spell. Derek Bailey is smarter than all of us, so he.
Yeah, obviously. And so, and Backbone is good. That seems to be an easy one to go.
Angular, that's a good one. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
Ember, I'm not. Ember to me sounds more like a science fiction book than a JavaScript framework. But to each their own. I mean, it's so easy to Google.
Yeah, Ember comes up, and Ember JS comes up first
Yeah.
when you do it. What about? I mean, like jQuery, that was, that was genius, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's perfect. It's and it sounds techy. So Postgres.
Yeah.
My SQL. Okay,
Yeah.
I think I have an idea of what my SQL means.
Yeah.
DigitalOcean could just be anything, but
Well, yeah, DigitalOcean could be, a music sharing.
yeah, absolutely. We could file sharing, a new Napster type thing.
Yeah.
But if you type in DigitalOcean, you're going to figure out very quickly exactly what it is, whether you do it or not. So I'm really picking on Chef here, but they really dropped the ball
That is a bad.
on this whole thing. Because now I want to see what does if I type in just Chef, no context, I get at IMDb. Apparently, there's a movie called Chef.
Is Chef.io the one you're talking about?
Yeah, Chef. Then you have Chef film, Chef pictures of chefs.
I do get chef.io third.
I do. I got a third as well. No, I got a fourth.
Lucky. But if you're if you're trying to do something that's um, specific, I mean, just not chef. If you're, looking for something specific, though, it's probably not.
Right. What about cookbook? Since let's say it's a Ruby cookbook. I'll bet since I've searched for this so many times, I'll bet this comes up relatively fast. But so that's not too bad. Actually,
I get a GitHub.
I got a Amazon.com 1, 2. Apparently, there's a book called Ruby Cookbook. Chef cookbooks, Ruby. All right. Safari cookbooks, discussion. So I mean, still, not exceptionally helpful.
But I think the point is, if your search has anything mixed in with it, that it's not easy. Anything at all mixed in.
Sure, because if you type in jQuery, you probably only get.
Yeah. You're not getting. Well, sorry, you might get books, but they're about jQuery. You're not getting any movies, and you're not getting. There's nothing else.
No, if I type in Angular. Yeah, if I type in Angular, and you would think that Angular, you might get like a definition for Angular, like, Angular momentum or something like that. But it is all having to do with the JavaScript. All the first page of Google, all JavaScript frameworks,
Yeah,
such.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's a win when you're naming something.
Right.
Yeah, well, you know what they say in software, naming and caching.
Yeah.
The two most difficult things.
Yeah, that's true. So I have been in touch this week or last week with an offshore company. Well, so I'll back up a little bit. I have the site Cyclops Percussion, right? I think I've shown it to you, and I happened to FTP into it recently, and I have files that have not been edited since 2008. So it's pretty old. It's been running kind of on autopilot for quite some time, and I make I probably make $200 or $300 a year from the site, right? So like selling music, so it's not it's not a bad little thing for it to run. And I think oh, definitely, because I only pay $30 a year in hosting and so anyway, just recently, when you go to it's been through a lot of automatic upgrades, and I don't know which one, but they either upgraded PHP or upgraded MySQL. But now you get a database connection error on the page. So, so I was in touch with
CyclopsPercussion.com.
Yeah, and so if you go to like products, percussion exercises, you'll see the SQL, the MySQL.
Oh yeah.
So that just recently happened, and it was either I get emails, we have to upgrade this and we have to upgrade that. And I don't know which one got upgraded, but
I see the problem. You just shouldn't use your password as yes.
That is the error. I know I shouldn't set it as YES, but it's who knew? Like I said, these files were 2008. I did go through and modify. If you look at the very bottom of some of those pages, it says this page modified on. Some of them say were later because I did make an effort to go through and fix some, or just open and close some of them to upgrade them. Anyway,
this is like classic web design here.
Oh, it's very old, and this is in real PHP, raw PHP. This was before frameworks existed, so it's and I think it's probably making making database calls right from the PHP page. That's also
probably yeah.
So, and like that top thing I think is Flash, so that's pretty cool. That little thing up there is like a little.
Oh, it is Flash, yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. So anyway, so we'll see how this little experiment goes. They charge $13 an hour for web development.
Really?
Like, so I mean, and we'll see what the. But they said, well, do you want to stay in PHP or do you want? I said, I don't care. I said, you do it, whatever you want to do it in. It doesn't matter to me. The only thing is, I'll set up a Bitbucket, and because I want to own the code, so that if
Mhm.
I'm not pleased with what you're doing, then at least I can go somewhere else, and that money isn't wasted. But I am going to try to not even look at the code. I have no interest. If it works, it works. I don't care, right? We'll see
Do
how.
you think you're going to be able to do that?
Yeah, I think so. As long as it's working, I think it'll be okay.
'Cause
Because the other thing with the
that's
Bitbucket,
a big step.
when I set up the Bitbucket account, I also added the bug tracker. So assuming that I can just report bugs
Hmm.
and they will get fixed, in a time,
Yeah, then it doesn't matter. Yeah.
then yeah,
Well,
I
and
don't have to go in and change it, then I should be okay.
I think that's a step that is a lot of software developers make. Uh, but I think that it's a difficult one. It's the
Yeah.
natural one that, where you start managing software developers, and just you can't look at the code. You have to just play with the site. Is the site working? And if it's not, submit a bug
Uh-huh.
and get it to work. I think that's exceptionally difficult. I've
It
been
might be. It
about
might
that
be.
quite a bit
Yeah.
because I want to get to that point, right? Because I'm, especially this past month, I've just been not productive
Yeah.
personally with personal projects and such,
Yeah.
and even some professional projects as productive as I should be. And it's like wow, okay, if so what's the next step if I'm not going to be banging on a keyboard? And well, that next logical step is stepping into a management role
Yeah.
or hiring people to do that coding. It's like, oh,
Right.
you're giving up some control there, but I think that's a necessary evil.
Yeah. Well, and so it goes back to what we talked about in the very beginning about heart. So let's say that this offshore company for $13 an hour doesn't do, they don't do the database abstraction properly, and they don't do database at all, and they're hard coding the entire site in HTML. Then that's dumb, but I don't care,
Well,
right?
no, because because it goes back to who's maintaining it,
Right.
and,
Yeah.
it's annoying that you have to pay someone to make an easy update. But you know what? How many times have we tried to make a website for someone, setting up a WordPress site or setting up a Joomla site with the expectation that here's your website. You're gonna manage all of the content updates or
Mm-hmm.
manage content in general.
Yeah.
You want your homepage a little bit different? Have at it. All you have
Yeah.
to do is go in there and
You can
change the rules.
drag and drop, and you have themes, and you can.
Never ever happens.
No.
Never happens.
No.
And so at the end of the day, everyone's frustrated. Me in particular.
Yeah, especially. Right.
It's just I made this just so that I didn't have to talk to you anymore.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It was supposed to be hands off. It's supposed to just be this money making thing, and you can do it, and I still get paid for it. Type or not, right? Or not, or that I'm not
Or
getting
not. Yeah. Here's $3,000. Here's your website.
Yeah.
One exchange. I had no plan to be your webmaster. I don't even know what that term means.
Right.
Dizzle
Right.
does.
Yes, he does. Yeah. So so like I said, it'll be a good experiment because, and I'm not expecting a whole lot, just because it is so inexpensive, but I'm expecting that it's going to work, right? I'm expecting.
Yeah.
So I guess really, if that's where I set the bar, is it works, right? And people have an add to cart and a pay now button, those buttons work. And if someone wants to buy something, it works.
Let's up the ante just a little bit.
Yeah.
And because I understand where you're going with this, and I think that you're going about it the right way and saying that I don't care what you do it in, but it just has to be this, and this. and at the end of the day, the money needs to land in my bank account, not yours.
Yeah.
Uh, but let's hypothetically say that you wanted it done in as a single page web app using Angular.
Okay.
And I don't know what's your backend of choice.
Node.js.
And does Node support like Stripe or something like that, or Braintree or?
Oh yeah, PayPal and all. Yeah.
So let's say you want a Node API, talking with Stripe, and here's the Stripe account that we're going to connect it with. So you don't even necessarily give them a login. Maybe you do. Maybe you give them a test login credential, so they can only log in and see the.
That is something I'll have to deal with, because whatever I use, I'm going to have to have an account that they'll have access.
And so so they can log in. That they have the test API key, and whatever they need to interact with Stripe. So Node backend, Angular front end, interacting with Stripe. Can you not look at the code?
Oh, I suppose I could. Yeah, I mean, I can look at the code, but hopefully I can say, well, this is not how I would have done it, but it works.
Could you make that rationalization without tinkering on it?
Well, yeah, but look at it this way. So, I mean, what's without talking about how much we make an hour? What do we make? We make 5 times $13 an hour, thereabouts. So if it takes me 20 minutes, it's something that takes me 20 minutes to do, they have almost 2 days of work that they can spend doing it. And so, like I said, if they write something that's really difficult to maintain, and they're going to have to rewrite this whole section if I want it to be 10 and not 11 or something, right? That's okay. Spend 2 days doing it, because if I take 20 minutes to do it, or if I want to.
Well, and they're again, at the end of the day, it's in Bitbucket, so you can you can have your pull request strategy that you can feasibly say, okay, everything is working, but now we're going to work on some code cleanup and stuff here. And so here's the bugs, blah, blah, blah. And just to help you out, I've done this, and I want you to take a look at this pull request. And from now on, instead of you guys just, committing to master, we're going to do
so now I have to approve
a PR type.
Yeah.
Which could actually be fairly interesting, because it doesn't take any of your time. And it, it's just part of that acceptance criteria of, I'm not accepting, so
the time it would take, and I'll tell you this because I've been dealing with this at GE. So there's an intern that they've put on the same project that so I'm refactoring this application from jQuery, so they don't have any very, very few external JS files. So they have an HTML file for each piece of the application, and that HTML file includes all of the JavaScript as well. So anyway, it's a mess. I've been refactoring that into a new application, and to help me with this refactor, they've given me an intern. So not to down people, right? But college, he goes to Purdue in Indiana, but they don't teach Angular JS at college yet, right?
This is the guy,
JavaScript.
This is the guy who was hired, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, that was hired as the Angular expert, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Who when you pressed him,
it didn't take much pressing, but yes, this is the one. Yeah, right.
That he is not an Angular expert, really not a JavaScript guru.
One more level. He's not really a web guy.
He's not really a web guy, but he learns fast.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So we're not a web guy. The problem with, and I understand we're digressing here. The problem with not a web guy is when I say, well, can you inspect it and see what's wrong with it? What do you mean? Right? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I need you to right click on that and choose inspect element. Like, that's pretty elementary web front end.
Right, because without that comment, like when you're not even speaking the same language, literally,
Yeah.
in this case, he didn't know what inspect element
Right.
mean.
Right.
If you don't have that frame of reference, that makes it very, very difficult to move.
Right. Right. So I mean, I'm saying, okay, well, we'll just take a look at the network tab and see if you have requests failing. Where's the network tab? Where's and so like I'm saying, like that's there's a
Yeah,
lot of time spent in
yeah,
getting. It's not just a matter of saying, oh, good, you know JavaScript. Here's that's okay, you don't know Angular, but it is just JavaScript at the end of the day. Here's what they're doing, and it's blah blah. I mean, we're talking about in the browser. Uh, did you clear your cache? Oh no! Oh, now it works. You know what I mean? Like that's don't come to me with that, right?
no,
You should have cleared your cache before you IM'd me. So anyway, that all the way back to with the offshore company about pull requests is that what if they check something in that is working, and I say that's not abstracted properly, or that's not this properly, and they say I don't know what that means. Do I fire them? Do I?
yeah. Well, and at that point in time, yeah, that's and maybe that's this is something that as you go through this process, we can talk more on. I guess the better question that I probably should have asked is how did you go about finding the company that you ended up going with
From LinkedIn.
from LinkedIn? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. They just came through, and so I don't. I think she sent me a message and said, if
Okay.
you need any you want to outsource any work and do this, and I said, well,
So it's like
fine.
one of those cold
Mhm.
networking
Exactly.
emails that we all ignore.
This is why they keep doing it, because every now and then it works, and it did. So it came through at just the right time
Just
that I was like, I got a bunch of projects that.
it's like yeah, I would kind of like that.
Yeah,
That has happened to me before, and thankfully it worked out. The one time that I did it like that.
yeah,
That's interesting, and because as I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, how would I go about finding
yeah.
a a reputable company, or how do we know what I'm going to get? I think that we're in a better spot because at the end of the day, if something just completely collapsed, we could do the work ourselves.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Whereas some people that they have this project or they have this idea that they want to build, they'd have no idea how to go
Right.
and actually do it themselves. We actually have that skill. So I think that puts us at a slight advantage when we're dealing with an offshore
Well,
company.
and hopefully the other thing that that the thing that I am trying to balance, not so much trying to balance how much coding I'm going to do, but balancing how much I can have them work on and still own. So they're having them check into this bit bucket that I am the administrator on.
Mm-hmm.
We're, and I have to. It'll probably be OneNote or something similar that I take. I document for them to have access to, so that in 2 months I can say, well, I've spent $200 on you and nothing has happened. You've done the homepage. Now I can turn around. I can hire a different company. I can now give them access to OneNote, them access to the Bitbucket.
Well, and I think that's we've been contractors long enough. I think that's uh, we're kind of used to that. We get access to a code repository, and I think
Yeah,
any reputable, whether
yeah,
you're Philippines or Ukraine or Czechoslovakia or whatever, the Czech Republic.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, because in the past I've tried it, or we've done it, talked about before, and it's like, if it doesn't work out, the whole thing is lost. It's all waste of money. I need to find a new company and start from scratch, and that's
Yeah,
beyond.
and I think that was certainly before we were as well versed in version control. I mean, you think back 8 years ago, our introduction to version control was Subversion,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
that was awful. Uh,
yeah.
so we didn't, that was just a pain. Git makes it so much easier, and then with stuff like GitHub, Bitbucket.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Bitbucket is the Atlassian thing. I think that's what I've been using, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that Bitbucket is Atlassian. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same. Yeah,
yeah. Unlimited private repositories. Why wouldn't you?
that's
Do it? You know,
that's right. Yeah,
because then you just. I think that it's safe to assume that whatever company or kid or whatever, whomever that you have working on code, uh, they have access to that in perpetuity. You know,
yeah,
that let's assume that if it's on their box, there's no self-destruct mechanism that you
right,
can say, okay, that's that's my intellectual property.
right,
Delete. That's not going to happen.
right.
So anything that was in that repository is, and that's why you don't store passwords in
Right.
your
Yeah.
repository.
Truthfully, my only thing that I want is to be able to hold on to it so that when
Yeah.
I do fire them and go to a different company, I can give them the
A-
starting point.
Absolutely. It's amazing how many like IT professionals or web professionals that I know out here that still don't use version control. I mean, I guess that's my biggest problem with like WordPress.
Mhm.
You have all these companies that are doing their business website in WordPress.
All freehand, basically. It's
Yeah,
all
I mean that seems like the most dangerous thing in the world to do.
yeah.
I mean, at least I don't know. It
Well,
just
there are some, just for the record. I mean, there are some plugins and there are some ways to wire it up. It's not trivial. And I'm with you. I doubt 99% of them are doing it. They're
yeah
probably not. So it is. But yeah, I couldn't imagine that. It's like people running real companies off on a server that says, "Hey, we found these security problems in this version of PHP, and we're going to upgrade you." Or your version of
right.
WordPress has a security issue. We're going to upgrade you. And they say, "Okay, I guess." And it upgrades. They have 15 plugins that may or may not work with it, and they don't. Who knows?
Well, and that's kind of going back to one of the websites that I've been wanting to put together, that practical preparedness website.
Mm-hmm.
Sending them. Because I've had a lot of people ask me recently about this list of for a bug out bag. I'm like, oh, well, I can put that up. I can give that away as an ebook and then
Yeah.
sell like all these different things, or have Amazon affiliate links or whatnot. But it's like anytime that you're going to sell something, I don't know if I would trust WordPress for that. That's I guess
Yeah.
that's my own paranoia. Uh, than anything. I'd rather spend $10 a month on for a server that I know is secure,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that would be up
Mm-hmm.
9.999 times out of 10.
Well, and back to Cyclops Percussion is we haven't discussed an admin panel. I mean, that's where I'm not
Mhm.
to that point yet.
Yeah,
So I've given them SQL dumps of the
yeah.
current SQL, and I said, this is the products that I have. Um, I don't care what,
But for instance, if this was making say $2,000 a month,
right?
you'd probably have a different take as to where it was hosted
Mhm.
and what it was on, how it was built and stuff like that.
Or regardless of the amount of money, but if I didn't have other jobs, right? I mean, this
Oh, absolutely.
was
Yeah,
the income.
yeah, absolutely.
So then what do you do? I mean, then what's the solution, right? I mean, then,
Yeah, well, I think that I don't know. It goes back that we can run our own stuff. And for instance, you can run your own uh, virtual private node server.
mm-hmm,
Through DigitalOcean, through whatever else. You don't have to. It's not Bluehost or MonsterHost, right?
right.
It's not. Uh, and if you're, and I guess that's the big thing, because if it's MonsterHost or Bluehost or some other managed hosting provider, it comes out with that security risk or vulnerability, they're going to automatically upgrade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as soon as that happens, it's like, oh, you just crippled my business for,
Yeah.
you know,
Until
you
I
know,
can find
it,
someone to fix it,
right.
right?
So it's like, how do you managing that is the trouble. And
Yeah. Yeah. So you're right. I mean, we do have luckily we are able to That, you know, so that's a very good point, is because it's easy for me to say, well, do whatever you want and make it work, because it's just extra. I mean, really, it just barely pays for the hosting. And
Mm-hmm.
it generally works out that I can buy something cheap on Amazon using, or, you know, buy something cheap from
Right.
the website using PayPal, because there's generally $60 or $70 in the account.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if it was, you know, my entire income coming through this site, now we're talking about a whole different thing. And I would want someone that I could get my hands on, almost, right? That I could say, I need your help. This, my site's down.
Well, I mean, think of it like this. Think of if you're selling some ebook
Yeah.
for $20. Maybe it's about Angular. Maybe it's about how to organize drumline music.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a market out there, and you're making maybe it's not your full income, but it's not insignificant either.
Yeah.
Because if it's $800 to $1,000 a month, I mean
That's real money. Yeah.
yeah, that's a vacation every other month. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a house payment,
Yeah.
two car payments or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not trivial. And so, how do you guarantee that that is up? And if something does happen, who's fixing the server? Are you doing that? Is someone else doing
Yeah.
that? How fast is that turnaround? And like I said, I think that we have quite a big advantage over other people, but other people are making a ton of money making these digital products,
Mm-hmm.
and they have zero web engineering ability or
Yeah.
developing ability. And apparently that works for them, because they're able to, hey, here's my product, I'm going to dump it out there, I don't care about the technology.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm trying to actually play devil's advocate there, because I think that it obviously works both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And arguably works better when you can completely divorce yourself of caring about the technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Well, do you think that
it's an interesting conundrum?
you think that that's where AWS or the Amazon virtual machines and Azure, maybe that's the, so it's not fully, you're not really able to do anything you want to.
Right.
I mean, they make sure it keeps running.
Yeah.
But it's not Host Monster or
right.
Bluehost or whatever. It's not that. So
right.
maybe that's the solution. So I think that if I had a product that I was reliant on for that, relying on that income, or a website I was relying, I think that I would be more comfortable hosting it on Azure or on Amazon, and having companies that could go in and check into a repository and they could get pushed out. But if that broke it, we could roll it back.
Yep.
And stuff.
Well, because at the end of the day, and I'm kind of looking at Cyclops Percussion here, you're not doing a blog or anything associated with this. And, if you're selling like an ebook, maybe it's only a single page website anyway.
Yeah.
And the only thing that it needs to do is connect to your Stripe account or PayPal account or whatever. And, it's really easy to fix and update text and just straight up HTML. So when you're just doing a quick update like that, it's like maybe WordPress is overkill on some of those sites.
Mm-hmm.
And even with that, I mean, if you're not doing like comments or something, how difficult is it to have a blog site when it could just be straight HTML? You don't even really need a database per se.
No, right. And I think that the only advantage to WordPress for that, so if you're not doing comments, the only nice thing about WordPress is you can have like category pages where it shows the list. That stuff. But other than that, if you're just having, here's my blog today, and my blog yesterday was this URL, and I can link to it, but I don't have a page that shows this month or something. Mm-hmm. So, or I do when I have to manually do, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably poo-pooing WordPress way too much, but I guess the thing is, it just seems like there's always a vulnerability that's coming out in WordPress. Mm-hmm. And it just freaks me out.
Yeah. So, but I'm not sure
But what's his face? That's always on Charles Maxwood, he
Hmm.
makes a good chunk of his money, doing WordPress plugins. So
Oh, does he?
yeah,
Oh, he writes the plugins in
yeah,
PHP? I didn't know that.
yeah. I'm trying to think of Josh. I don't know. I can't remember.
Earl?
I'd have to look it up. I'm not
Oh,
sure. In fact, I think he actually lives my way. I think he lives in Portland or
oh yeah?
yeah, in Oregon, or used to.
Yeah. That's
But
interesting. I
but
did. I had a couple other topics
we
that
actually had topics today.
well, I've just been kind of writing them down as I thought about it, but we'll probably save them. We're about we're 1 hour and 10 minutes in so far for this one.
I'm actually kind of surprised that we haven't gotten kicked out of Zoom yet, because usually Zoom has a 40-minute. Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't think I'm a pro member, because if it in
I
the
started the account. I started the meeting.
you did start the meeting, and you didn't pay for
Oh,
Zoom.
definitely not. I actually just created the account. I didn't have. I was able to join, but that's what took me so long the second time because I went to try to start it and it said log in and I didn't have a username or
Huh.
password. So, but
Yeah,
I logged in through my Google account, so
okay.
created it.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because usually it has like a 40-minute
Oh,
max, and I was kind of relying on that, but interesting.
yeah. So anyway, I've taken notes of the other things. We can get to them next week, and but this is good. So I took notes of like kind of as we talk through, but yeah, but we'll see how the offshore stuff does. But there's definitely, like I said, just if they can do stuff, I don't care if it's slow or whatever, as
Yep.
long as it's cheap. And really, my goal, and I haven't talked to them about this yet, but I would rather say I will give you $250 a month to just do as much as you can with that
Right.
200 instead of coming to me and saying, well, this website idea you want is $7,000. You know what I
Right.
mean? I don't have 7,000, but I do have 200.
Right. What can you get done?
Yeah, let's give you 200 and then talk and do what you can. And then in a month, I'll give you another two and just keep working.
Now next week I am in Tennessee for an on-site.
Which is fine because my family's here next week as
Oh,
well.
perfect. Okay, so we will reconvene in 2 weeks then.
Yeah, so I'll be cancel. Delete only this instance. Delete and update guest. Do you get those updates when I move?
I do, yes.
All right. Yeah, so we've deleted the one on the 27th and we'll reconvene on the 3rd.
Fantastic. Actually, I feel like there might be something of substance in this one.
It was pretty good. So now when I click stop recording, what does it give me a file?
It does. It'll download a file to like your downloads directory or something,
Oh, okay, cool.
and then you can. And I think all of the sound will already be in with that, and will probably actually already sound all right.
Cool.
So you might not need to do any processing whatsoever.
Well, I'm going to put on my list. We'll start a YouTube. I'll just create a YouTube account for we want Cubes Web,
Cubes Web, sure.
and I'll start a YouTube Cubes Web account. And then, I mean, who cares? We didn't. I haven't said anything here that I don't think. Do you have you? Was there anything we want to edit? No. All right, cool. So I'll just post it as is, and no one's going to watch it, and we'll go from there.
If and for those of you that have gotten this far, sorry.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you very much. Click some Amazon affiliate. But I'll put it. No, I won't. I won't do it yet. All right, sounds good. So have a nice travel week next week, and I'll talk to you on next month.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
See
Talk
ya.
to you later. Bye bye.